Welcome back to One-on-One with Mr. U. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. U. If you're watching for the very first time, listening or watching, upper right-hand corner of your screen is a QR code. Grab that with your phone, and you can get all of our previous episodes of One-on-One with Mr. U and catch up on how we do business out here. So thanks for watching and listening. We definitely appreciate that. In the studio with us now, I take a breath first because she does a lot of things. So creator of 12 startup companies. 17 times best-selling author, keynote speaker, transformational leader, coach, and CEO of Retreat RnR. Holly Porter is in the studio with us today. Holly, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Same here. Glad to be had and glad to have you here. All right, we had an awesome conversation in our pre-interview, and I want to get into some of that with the time we have available to us. So let's try to do that today. So firstly, tell me about, in short, tell me about how you got from where you were as a young person to where you are right now. I know it's a long story, but try to shorten it for us, but I have some follow-up questions for you. So go ahead.
I got a lot of years behind me, so that's a whole show.
I wouldn't know that. If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't know. If you didn't tell me, I had no idea.
Well, I grew up with 9 siblings. Well, there were 9 siblings total in my family, and my parents were both entrepreneurs. So it's really in my blood, and I always just treasured relationships and wanted to do everything on my own and have 3 jobs and a family and just have it all. And it's like, be careful what you wish for because you might get it. I'm a really good manifester, and I didn't really plan on having so many companies. That wasn't really in the plan, but as it unfolded and worked out, this is just the way it is. And I like change, and I had several companies, or have had for 20 years. So it's not like I just jumped ship all the time, but yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome. All right. So entrepreneurship is in your blood.
Definitely.
You probably were the very first few hosts. So I guess I only had maybe 2 or 3 that have said that their parents are entrepreneurs. What was life like in that household? Because there's always a pressure to go the traditional route. Get a good job. I mean, I lived in that pressure growing up, so I know what it's like.
Yeah.
How was that viewed in your household about the traditional path, education, 4-year degree, school loans? I added that one, and things like that, 40, 50 years in one job. Tell me how that was viewed in your household as a household full of entrepreneurs.
That's interesting. So being educated was important, but it was never pushed on us to go to college or anything. And most of us didn't. There's 9 of us, and I think only a couple of my siblings have degrees. We're all entrepreneurs, have our own businesses. Everyone's successful. A lot of us have kids that are entrepreneurs. I think it's just in the genes. And I love, and respect anyone that has that degree on the wall. But for me, I even graduated from high school a year early because I always wanted to get out in the world and do my thing and be in charge. But I'll tell you, I have taken probably enough classes, coaching, everything I've done over the years. I'd have a doctorate degree easily for the hours I have spent learning. It's just, I didn't want to learn what they told me to learn. I wanted what I felt like I needed to learn. And I just felt like sitting in a classroom, my best math class in high school was business math because it made sense to me. I use it every day. I couldn't tell you the first thing about algebra, trigonometry, whatever you call it. I don't know.
Trigonometry and calculus.
Could care less. That didn't motivate me. But business math lit me up because those were the numbers I needed for business, right? And so it's just, we take what's going to work for us. And how many people have a degree that don't even work in their field or hate what they're doing? And it's like, to me, as long as I wake up every day and I'm happy with what I'm doing, I'm good. For me, that works.
That's good. We can't just stop right there, Holly. You got to share the secret sauce, because even though it was in your blood, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
Everybody that's started it and tried it are successful at it. I know a lot of entrepreneurs that are in communities that I'm a part of. I'm a founding member of a couple of communities, and I haven't heard not one of them say, I started entrepreneurship way back when, and it's worked exactly the way I planned it. No changes. It wasn't a one-stop shop. I had to bounce around and find myself in entrepreneurship. How did you guys get to the place where you can say, you know what, this is successful? Is there a secret sauce? Was there some kind of key that you got from your parents? Tell me take us behind the scenes a little bit, if you can. How did it work for you guys so effortlessly, I guess?
Yeah, well, some worked better than others. I usually had anywhere from 2 to 4 companies at a time, which is juggling. I like change. My husband, however, our construction company, he worked in the concrete industry for 41 years. He just got out of it about a year and a half ago, just because it's really hard on his body. And so for him, he was stable. He had that was his thing. He enjoyed it. It was fine. It was me that we've been married 24 years. So it's been me that's kind of always needs something new and fresh. And we did all this while we were raising 8 children together in the same house. And we have 19 grandkids now. So family's very important to us.
We'll talk about that one.
It's figuring out that, I mean, those are probably more challenges than the companies were, to tell you the truth. But, you know, some worked out better than others. Some grew. Real estate I've done for 20 years now, and I'm a real estate broker here in Utah. That's kind of been my bill payer. So while excuse me, while I was out traveling, speaking, writing my books and things for the last 11 years, that was still my sustainable income. I had a salon and spa for 20 years. That was the biggest salon in town where we live, and very proud of that. It grew, and I moved 4 different locations as we changed, got to be the biggest. And then I was like, oh, I don't like being the biggest. So then I went to a medium size, then I went super small. And then I moved to a different town about an hour away, and still kept doing real estate, you know? So it's like, there were always challenges, but it's like pushing them through, figuring them out. I love the change of, like in my salon, for instance, I was licensed for everything: hair, skin, nails. I was an instructor. So I had students.
Wow.
Every day to me, a good day was change, and being able to leave for a lunch, a Rotary function, you know, and I was Rotary president. I was in the Chamber of Commerce, Women in Business. I mean, I always
in your bio. I didn't see any of that in your bio.
It's long. Yeah.
Where is this? Okay.
Yeah. No, at the same time, I just yesterday went to Rotary International, my old club, because they honored the past presidents of 100 years, by the way. And there was only 10 of us there. So 10% were representing. And I actually had to go to the library, because it's been 17, 18 years since I was president, and dig up like the stuff, like, and I forgot everything we had done. And I was like, wow, that we really did some big projects. But at the same time, I was Rotary president. I was getting, I think I had just got my real estate license like a year or 2 before that. So I was still in the salon about 3 days a week. I was still doing real estate pretty much full time. I was Rotary president. I was AYSO soccer, over 1,400 kids, and I had 4 kids playing soccer. So like the bottom line is that is not bragging, because it was like, I showed up. I always showed up. We always have time for what we want to make time for. Okay. So when people say I just don't have time, it's because you don't want to be there. Like there's all excuses you can make. For me, it was just, I wasn't present. Like, I was on the soccer field. I'm on the phone doing a real estate deal. I'm over everybody there, and I'm watching the games, and I have 4 different games going on 4 different fields. What am I present for? Right. It's like those are a little bit of regrets looking back. I could have done things maybe differently, but I was just living on stress and thriving on the moment of whatever was coming up now. Who was screaming the loudest is who got the attention. And sometimes that was the kids, sometimes that was work. It just depends. Whatever's on fire at the moment is what you're focused on. And that's not really the way to live.
Absolutely. I want to ask one question about entrepreneurship. We're going to go ahead and pivot. Now, I don't know who said this, but somebody said it to me probably within the last 3 months. I don't know if it's a famous quote or not, but somebody said that if you have like a regular job, you're not an entrepreneur. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, no, because so many people have their side gigs, you know. It's okay if you people, for me, it's like I would take leaps that were probably not thought as well out, you know? So yeah, and a lot of times, like my husband and I were both entrepreneurs. That's not always been the wisest thing because now we're getting into retirement age and it's like, oh boy, it would have been nice if he would have went into the military and we had that little bit of a backing, or
Yeah,
he worked for a company or was a school teacher or whatever that is. That didn't work out for us that way. But no, I think if you have that stability and can build something else you love, and when that job goes aside, or what you love that you're building is able to support what your job income is, then you pivot, then you change, then you make that happen. It just depends what kind of sacrifices you really want to make to get what you want.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to get into some of your work, but I want to ask you a tough question first.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to ask a few tough questions on this show, so I prepped you for that in advance because you already knew that was going to happen. All right, transformational leader, keynote speaker, 17-time best-selling author, and the CEO of Retreat RnR. Which title are you most proud of out of those four?
Oh, you didn't put mom in there. I want to say
Mom always-
mom.
That's always going to win. That's why I didn't include it. Mom
Okay.
and grandma are going to win every time.
I almost want to say, yeah, mom would win first, but like transformational leader, I think matters to me because not just transformation for me, but what I can create for other people. Like I'm an early adapter and I love getting into something, taking a risk. And you probably didn't, the 12th company is my International Retreat Association. I just incorporated that in December. Brand new. It's a 2 to 3 million estimated retreat leaders in the world, and they don't have an association to belong to. There's no defined professional standards and ethics and values. So I'm creating it. And like that to me is part of my legacy. That's a big why. That's going to create the philanthropy that I can do in the future that I know I'm supposed to do. So like that probably would be it for me. That's not a hard question.
No. Okay. Well, I wasn't sure. Sometimes nobody can answer it directly. You probably one of the first. All right. So I want to come back to the Retreat R&R work that you're doing as CEO. But I want to ask you a question about that legacy comment you just made. Now you got 8 adult children and 19 grandchildren. Do you feel any level of obligation or pressure at all? Because I know you grew up as an entrepreneur, seeing entrepreneurship played out throughout your childhood. But do you feel like, you know what, I have some pressure on me to kind of show them how to make it in the world that's ever changing, ever evolving? Do you feel like you have obligation to your children and grandchildren, I'd say, or any kind of pressure at all to kind of show them how to survive and make it, or give them some tools to be able to figure it out themselves? Do you feel that as a grandmother? Do you and your husband feel that?
Yeah, I do. I do feel that. And, there's always ways that we feel like we're failing. And I'm a young grandma. I had kids young, so I'm a young grandma. And so I'm not that grandma that can be your babysitter for you while you go to work. Like I have to work still. It's just there's things that I'd like to be differently, but each of us have a purpose and a why and a calling. And I feel like for me, I never knew what my purpose was till I almost died about 4 years ago. And it was like to realize that my legacy is bigger, and yeah, my family is in my heart and my soul, but I feel like what I'm creating is so much bigger than that. And so for others listening, I feel like you just have to define what matters to you, what's important to you, because like I said before, we can find time for what's important to us. And if my family calls and they invite us somewhere, we drop everything. Like if we can, we will be there for them. We will support them. Now, when we're not invited or we don't know, I mean, then we can't show up, right? But we're lucky to have so many. I think I have a dozen grandkids that live right here around me. So, it's nice to have them around. But do I see them not even once a week sometimes? I mean, it's just everybody's got busy lives. A lot of them are teenagers now, and it's just there's chaos going on. But the example I want to set is that they can do anything and roll up your sleeves, do the hard work. I mean, it doesn't have to be hard, but there's going to be challenges, especially if you're a leader, if you're an entrepreneur. if you have that special calling that you know is where you need to be, then that looks like some work. I mean, you have to put in the time. Things don't come easy always, and they can, but you're going to get challenges, especially with what's going on in the world today. You got to be able to shift and pivot.
You definitely got to be aware of what's going on too. Some people are not.
Mm.
I want to come back to what you're doing with your framework and what you're doing with Retreat RnR. So I won't forget that. I'm going to come back to both of those. But
Okay.
share about your health victory, because I thought the story was really profound. And I also, in your sharing, I'd love for you to also tack on a part B of that, kind of just share how you changed as a person or even as an entrepreneur because of your health victory. Go ahead and share that, Holly.
Yeah. So just a quick recap. I had a 70-day hospital stay with COVID during COVID, obviously. Fall of 2021, I was in there 70 days. I was intubated twice, had a trachea, sepsis, infections. There is no reason why I should have walked out of there. And I am very blessed and lucky that I did. But I had a near-death experience while I was in there, and I was told a couple things to do. I wasn't given the option to come back. I just got sent back, which I wasn't real happy about, by the way. So people that have lost people that we haven't seen again, you know what? They're in a better place. Just know that. And so I came back with purpose, and I didn't feel like I had purpose before. I mean, my family was my why, sure, but an actual calling of something bigger that, I feel like I was handed this life Bible with the end of the story written, and I had to just go fill in the pages in between. And so figuring all that out was part of this journey. And it's been a spiritual journey for me, for sure. And my book that I just launched on 11/11 called Near Death Shift, I knew it had to have two parts. It's a personal development book in the end, and then it's my story. So it's a spiritual book and a personal development mix. And yeah, it's definitely the book I'm proud of, for sure.
No, I love that. I love this. Okay, so let's talk about. It sounds as though you turned that story into the mission for what you now know as Shift Framework, right?
Right.
Explain to our listeners and viewers what Shift stands for and how that framework kind of came about.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting story. So SHIFT stands for surrender, hope, intuition, faith, and transformation. And the bookends of the S and the T are surrender and transformation, which fits so perfectly because I feel like you can't have one without the other. And as far as surrender goes, surrender to me, nobody does it alone. If you ask any person that's successful and they say they did it alone, that's ego based because nobody gets there alone. Everybody has help. And at some point you have to just surrender and ask for it. You have to be willing to accept. And so for me, those just came about. My book title was different for 2 years while I was writing it. And then this name came up, Near Death Shift, and I knew that was right. I didn't even have the SHIFT acronym at the time. That was kind of part of the spiritual journey as I was writing it. That came about, the last 8 chapters came about from another program that I was creating 5 years ago before COVID hit and used it at an event, but I never created the program around it. So while I'm writing it and I'm like, okay, how much of this chapters am I going to dedicate to personal development? And then those 8 things came up and I was like, those are my 8 chapters. And the shift is built into that. And it evolved. Like I would get edits back from my editor and I would read them like I was reading them for the first time. Like God had his hands in that book so much that it was new to me. I mean, it was just so much gratitude for what was happening. So definitely a game changer. And I hope that other people can have their shift and see. My biggest message is you don't have to almost die to truly live and make the shift. You can make a shift without almost dying.
Yes. No, I totally get that. Congratulations on the new book, Near Death Shift. I'm sure you can find it wherever books are sold, I'm sure. One of the things that I noticed about this, I'm going to pivot here, but I've had some near-death experiences also, and I share them on almost every podcast that I go on. And what I personally have noticed is not for anybody else, this is just me talking. What I personally noticed is that a lot of people who've had experiences like that, surprisingly, I don't really know how it's possible, but they come back, so to speak, with a mission that isn't really about other people as much as it's about them, about them remaking themselves, maybe perhaps refashioning themselves. And they talk about other folks and it being a mission, but it feels like it's less about the greater good or other people and their interest and more about them being able to say, that I'm new, I'm this and I'm that. And so I love what you're talking about, because you've been to death's door, and you came trying to build something that profits other people. It's not all about you. And honestly, that's the natural reaction, I would think, but apparently people are not exhibiting that. So I love what you're doing. I want to get into what you have done with the Retreat RnR, but I can't get past the Adventure Bucket Witch Foundation. Are you still doing that? Because
yes,
let's talk about that a little bit, because I love to hear about women being empowered. I know I'm not a woman, but I know I got a wife and I got 3 adult daughters and I got 2 granddaughters, so I care about women, right? But talk to me about the Adventure Bucket Witch Foundation, because that's probably one of 2 foundations you already started. So talk to me about that. How'd that get started? Why was it so important for you to do it?
Yeah. So in my near death, that was one of my things I was told to do, was start this nonprofit. I was given the name Adventure Bucket Wish, but I wasn't given a mission. And so the story behind it, fast forward here, go back quickly.
I'm taking you back in time, huh? I'm sorry.
I got long COVID after COVID, and I was very sick for a very long time, like a year and a half. I was a mess. Wow. And so I was living that. So that became our mission, was to help long COVID. It was an underserved community. There were 100 million people suffering from it. Well, about 2.5 years into the mission, we had done a couple fundraisers and done some things. I had a podcast for it, and it was like pulling teeth to get guests on my podcast. You have 100 million suffering, but it was just like, I knew something was off. And so it's that listening to your intuition and being present with things. And I wasn't getting answers. So I kept doing my podcast, took off all the fundraisers off the calendar that year. And one day I was doing the podcast, and all of a sudden I get this huge, well, the girl, first of all, is telling her long COVID story, and I start reliving mine. I can't breathe. I feel like I have an elephant on my chest. I'm like, what is happening? It was a scary feeling. And all of a sudden I get this download that says, this is not your mission anymore, and this is your last podcast. And I was like, oh, and I was actually really happy, because I was ready for an answer and it wasn't coming. So to get that, like, this is your answer, I canceled everything. I was like, but then I kind of went into this like mourning, because I thought, why would God tell me to start this nonprofit and then take it away? So I called one of my board members, and she said, if I remember right, you got the name, but you did not get the mission. You created that mission because that's what you were living at the time. And so she said, so we're our 3rd year into your nonprofit, which is a big deal, by the way, for a 501c3. She said, let's keep the name and let's change the mission. And so that's what we did. There was that shift again. And I had to surrender again. And so we changed it to, she said, what'll light you up? What'll make you excited? And it was Women Leading with Purpose, because purpose is what I came out of all of this through my journey. And so we haven't done a ton with that since we shifted the name. We actually meet in April, and we're going to map out a whole new journey for the Women Leading with Purpose. So I'm super excited about it. Yeah.
Oh, no, it sounds very exciting. I love it. Love this. Okay. So you do so many different things. And I feel like in entrepreneurship, I say I'm adding myself to this group without permission, but we have such high, lofty goals and dreams, and we almost get a chance to touch on things that we always wanted to do, and it feels like we're closer to it than people who are working in traditional situations. It feels that way. Maybe it's not true, but just a perception. Sure. But tell me this, how do I ask this? Let me change where I'm at. I want to ask that. Okay. So for you, if nothing changes right now, everything stays exactly the same, what would that cost you personally, professionally, and spiritually? What would that cost you if you don't change anything you're doing right now? If everything stays exactly the same, no upward progress, no momentum, everything is just exactly the same. What can you identify what the cost is for you personally, spiritually, professionally, or all three?
The easiest way to answer that would be, what's my definition of success? Because that would be not progressing, would be taking that away. My definition of success is happy. It's that simple. It's not based with a dollar amount or how many friends I have or how many clients I have. It's, am I waking up every day happy? And I think if everything stopped, I wouldn't be able to wake up every day happy. I mean, I'm happy now, but I'm more happy when things are progressing and moving along and moving forward, because that's how I think. And so, yeah, that's an easy answer for me.
Okay. You got easy answers to my hard questions. So that's just, I like it.
You're not making it very hard.
I'm good. I'm good with it. You know, when I ask this question to all of our guests that come through, and I think there's a understanding, hopefully, that we can't control part of this, but if somebody Googled Holly Porter today, what would they learn about you? What would they discover about you? I'm asking that because a lot of times we think we control that narrative, but
Yeah.
sometimes people see what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Not what you put out there. I talk to people all the time who want to be a guest on our show, and they show me everything in the profile, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Right.
I didn't share that in our interview. I'm looking for something else that I believe is the gold and the gem, and it may not be in your work history. It may be what you've overcome. It may be in the mindset shift that you had. Somebody Googled you today. What do you think they're going to discover about you?
Well, what I would hope, and maybe what they see are different, because with my near-death experience, when you Google me, there's things coming up now about that. That's still part of my life. That's not my entrepreneurial journey or anything. In the past, it would have been more of the service-oriented things I did. The accomplishments, the awards, they're great. Like, that's nice. It's nice to be recognized. But to me, I'm more about changing things, about big change and the service we give and the relationships we build. And it's, to me, that is my motivator, is the people. And so I would hope some of that's still coming up. I mean, I ran for political office. That was ugly. I hope none of that comes up. It was ugly. I don't want to be in that world. Those were the best. I mean, I lost. I ran for a city council and a mayor spot. And this was, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. And I'll tell you what, to know that wasn't my journey, losing was the best win I ever had in that journey, because that wasn't where I needed to spend my time. Those weren't the people I needed to serve. It wasn't going to move the needle forward for me. My heart, I have one, number one. They actually labeled me the heart candidate, which I thought was pretty cool, because I actually have a heart. A lot of politicians don't have a heart, but it wasn't the place. And so, yeah, as people look now, I would hope that they just see, this is a good person. She wants to do good in the world. She wants to make change in a very impactful way with as many people as I can, without harming people, building it around love. My motto that I got back from my near death was love them where they're at, which changed a lot of that energy around. If you love people where they're at, takes that judgment away from what we think. And
absolutely. I love that. I love that. What's your BHAG? Your big, hairy, audacious goal?
To build, it was Retreat RnR. It was really to build that out. That was the end game. And then while I was writing my book and got the idea for the International Retreat Association, right now, that's my complete focus, is to get that built, because it's such a bigger thing that'll happen a lot faster, because it's the faster path to cash right now. Even though money's not ever been my motivator, it is a little bit more now, because I know all of this philanthropy work that I need to do. I want to be a check writer. Like, I don't want to be in the ditches and see the crap of it all. I want to just say, here's the team. They can handle it. How much money do you need? And be able to just hand that over. Like that to me would be so fulfilling. And so obviously what I'm building has to be successful to make that happen. And I know the relationships I'm going to build all over the world with this, and already have been, I'm going to have so much more support and help. And, we all have goals, we all have dreams, but I just, yeah, it's more impact, and money makes more impact.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Retreat R&R and the foundation that I would assume is separate from that. Talk to us about how it got started and what's it like today.
Yeah. So Retreat RnR was the second thing I was given advice on my near-death journey. And I had pitched the day I found out I had COVID, sicker than a dog. I pitched to 9 people online, sweat pouring down me as I'm trying to do my little show. And I wanted to partner with them. I hadn't incorporated Retreat RnR yet. And these guys had a billionaire backer. So I was super excited to have this partnership. And while I had my near-death experience, I was told not to partner with them, that wasn't the highest and best thing to do, that it needed to be mine and move it forward. So within the first 3-4 months out of the hospital, I know I had God's hand in it, because I was super sick. How I did it, I can't even tell you, because I was really sick still. I got both of them incorporated, applied for the 501c3 for the nonprofit, incorporated Retreat RnR, and started down that journey. And it's been a long journey of learning, because I hadn't had a tech company. So Retreat RnR, the original idea of it was a booking and hosting site for retreats, and to support that industry, like an Airbnb, but it would focus on retreats. Still so needed, but realized after sinking a couple $100,000 into the company, it needed about another $1 million to really make it right. So I needed to go fundraise and do all that. Meanwhile, I got the idea that phase 2 of my company was, I'm a real estate broker now in Utah, and buying and selling luxury retreat properties was another division. Concierge service was another division. So we had all these little arms to Retreat RnR. But phase 2 is the real estate. And I thought I should have started there, because it would have been so much more cost effective, and nobody's really, doing that. And so I started working on that. And then last year, I knew I had to get my book done. I was really being intuitive and listening. And it was 11/11 was the date it needed to come out. It's the day I got out of the hospital. 1111 is very significant into my story. And so everything kind of stopped and paused for that, got the book done. While I was writing the book, got the idea for the association. And so I think my whole lesson in this journey is that I'm not flighty, and I don't just drop anything. It's I continue it, but it's this is on pause. Okay, this is on pause. Now I'm open. I'm hearing this message to start this association now. I put one post on about 3 days ago, and I have had over 100 conversations of people they're drooling about it. I mean, that you've got something powerful, and they're coming from all over the world on my messages. And I'm building the leadership council right now. I only want 8 to 12, and I need to be very selective of who they are, because they're helping, create professional standards. And so we haven't even opened up membership. I don't have a wait list yet. I know now it's like to not feel like you have that imposter syndrome going on. I've had that probably in anything I've ever done. And the path is so clear to me that this needs to be happening right now, that it's it lets everything else just say pause. It doesn't need to stop. It just needs to pause right now. This is the path I need to be on. And usually I'm all over, I got a lot of things, as you can hear, going on. And I'm so focused on this right now. It feels good to say, hey, I actually can focus on one thing, which I've always been told to do, and I have never done. I mean, I'll tell you real quick. I had my real estate broker when I first got in real estate. He said to me, I was running my salon full time too. And I was, Rotary president and soccer kid president, and I had lots of stuff going on. And he said, you'd be my number 1 agent if you would just focus on real estate. And he had the number 4 agent in the nation working for him. So I would be above her. And I looked at him right in the eyes and I said, I know, but I wouldn't wake up every day happy. I was dead serious. And about 10 years later, he got dementia so bad that he didn't even recognize people. I run into him. Wow. and he looked at me. He didn't recognize anyone. He said to me, are you still doing 100 things? He remembered that. He can't even remember who people are. But I thought, okay, that was impact, not that need to be the impact I needed to leave on him. But the point is, what do you want people to remember you by? Like, what is it you want to create? What legacy do you want to leave? It doesn't have to be big. If your listeners listening, your legacy could be just taking care of your sick parents, your children, it could be anything that is simple, but it's powerful, and it's leaving behind a mark. It's leaving something. And so you got to figure it out for yourself. Nobody's going to be able to, they can help you, but nobody can figure out your purpose but you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to make sure I understand what you're doing with Retreat RnR, because there's a time coming in the near future where I may need this service if it's what I think it is. So tell me who your ideal customer is and what you do for them. I know that's going to be a long answer, but if you can make it cool for me, that'd be great. Your ideal customer for this and what you do for them.
So in Retreat RnR, the ideal customer really is the retreat leader themselves. The venues, they're the suppliers, right? They have. So if we're talking about the tech part of it, it's a booking and hosting site. There's a lot of challenges to solve, which is why it's going to be a pricey. To me, if you can't do it right, don't do it at all. And so it's like, oh, okay. It took me, 4 years to figure out, wow, there's a lot more to this. This is a learning curve. I feel like, why didn't God give me the answer to do the association first? Why did the other come first? It's like the chicken before the egg, and it's okay, because there was so much learning I needed to have in those 4 years that I'm probably still figuring out that answer, but it's okay, because this is where we are now. I'm not saying that's going to not happen. It's just going to pause right now. With the association, it's going to bring all of that competition, everybody that I love competition. It makes everybody step up and be better. So now all the other software people that are out in this field, nobody's built what I'm building. Nobody. It does not exist. But all the other people that are similar, I want in this association. It's like the association's like sits at the top of the triangle. It's over the whole ecosystem. And so as we build, anyone that has anything to do with retreats, anyone, an attorney that does trademarks or contracts, a travel agency, an accountant that teaches track strategy, like those are the key people I want on the leadership council. But all of that, I know, is going to help that software get developed later. Whether it be me that does it, I hope it is. I hope that's me that does it, because it's my baby and I worked a lot of years and time on it, and I've got a system profile built for it, but I'm not actively out looking for the $1 million investor right now. If they came to me, then I could probably buck up and hire a team and, get something happening. But right now my focus is really on the association.
Got it. All right. This is my final question for you. They're going to give you about 120 seconds to speak to the people. Anything you want to share. So here's my final question for you today, Holly. And first of all, you've been a fantastic guest. Thank you for your time and for being so forthcoming and transparent. It's been a blessing to us. So thank you for doing that. In regards to, I guess, being an entrepreneur, there's an idea that I hear often, that we'll never retire, that we're always doing something. So here's what I want to ask you, and I'll try to do it as less clunky as possible here.
Okay.
Do you see down the line, the number that you and your husband maybe have talked about as far as your ages? Is there a place in time where you guys would no longer be on the front lines of entrepreneurship anymore? And if so, describe what that looks like for us today.
Yeah.
What would that entail?
When you face death, I never thought I'd live to be very old my whole life. And so when I'm laying there dying, literally, I'm thinking lots of things like, was I enough? Am I enough? Did I serve enough? What kind of a legacy am I leaving? And so knowing that I was saved, I was sent back, I have a mission to accomplish. I don't know what in years of time that looks like. I just know I don't want to waste any time, because life is precious. I'm lucky to be here. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm going to do everything I can to accomplish what I need, what I got sent back to do. I don't know if I don't know if I'll ever retire necessarily. I feel like, as I build wealth with what I'm building, like I said, it's for the philanthropy work I want to do. So I feel like I'll always have a hand in that somehow,
Yeah.
even if it is just the check writer as the big audacious goal. Yeah, I have a grandmother that lived to be almost 107.
Oh, wow.
My great grandmother, my grandmother lived to be 96, and my dad's almost 88. So we have longevity in our family, but
Awesome.
I've never wanted to live to be that old. I mean, I just am like, people say, I want to be 103 and climbing trees. And it's like, why? I don't know. That's just, I saw the other side. So I'm not so attached to age. I don't like the way I'm aging right now. It's like I aged 10 years having COVID. So it's like, no, when I'm done, I'm done. And I'm so willing to do that surrender. And at that point, I'm willing to do that. So
I love it. Take these last 120 seconds to share what you like and let folks know how they can find your work and what you're doing.
Yeah. I think I want to leave the message for people to remember what I got told. Love them where they're at. It really will change the way you feel about somebody. When you're feeling down, think of who you can serve, because I think when you bring service into your life, you'll feel so much better. Probably someone you don't want to serve is probably who you should serve. And so I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm just making suggestions. But remember the words, love them where they're at. It will shift the energy. It will take the judgment out of things. I have a Linktree link. If you could put that in the show notes, that'll get you to my website, my social media, my books, anything you want to see, my nonprofits on there, all in one place. And you can just go have fun on there. And I love hearing from people. I get emails all the time when people listen to podcasts, and I love hearing that you heard something that resonated or shifted you. Makes me happy. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So all of our listeners and viewers that are watching, we have all of Holly's information in the show notes. You can follow her on social or via her Linktree. Transformational leader, keynote speaker, 17-time best-selling author, and CEO of Retreat RnR, Holly Porter. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Have a good one, everybody.